at all times. Any unattended baggage will be removed and may be destroyed by security services.
Hello, good evening and welcome to episode 5 of our All the Lines UK, a complete history of train sim world. This evening we're on the East Coastway route, Eastbourne to Brighton and then back down to Seaford. We're going to be starting the stream at 20:30 by your station clock, so you've got 9.5 minutes.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Mind the gap.
Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to episode 5 of our All the Lines UK, a complete history of Train Sim World. Tonight we are on the East Coastway route, Eastbourne to Brighton and back to Seaford. We're going to be starting in 3.5 minutes, give or take. This is the railway after all, we can't do anything on time. So please have your drinks, light refreshments and first class tickets at the ready.
Passengers are reminded that smoking is prohibited at all stations and on all train services. This includes e-cigarettes. This is a safety announcement. It is not permitted to cycle, skateboard or rollerblade within the station building.
Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to another video with me, Richard, aka Dabrowse. If this does happen to be the first video I stream you seen by me, then you are very welcome here. This is my son, this is my house, this is my family. Come on in and join the party. And that is someone's half-eaten dinner on the arm of the sofa there. Because my model railway is occupying the dining table, which is what a dining table should be used for. It's a model railway table, not an eating table. Look at that. What a good kid. Anyway, like I say, if it does happen to be the first video I've streamed, seen by me, my name's Richard, aka Dad Brown, former mainline passenger train driver and a current mainline freight train driver based in the southeast of England. Before we begin, and as always, I've got to tell you that all the views and opinions expressed within are solely my own and may not reflect those of any companies I may have employed, but associated with, and all of that good stuff. Andy3074, Piglet Tube, first to comment. Traffic71, John 2 Ward, Leo Low, Pig and Bob Womble, Jack II8VI, Lee Grant. Good evening to all of you, and welcome. So we are continuing our All the Lines UK Train Sim World series, covering all of the lines from start to finish, all of the UK lines, a complete history of Train Sim World. So, without further ado, let's press the button. Hopefully it's going to work. There we go. We are in Train Sim World, and today we're on the East Coastway route, which was the fifth route to be released, fifth UK route to be released for Train Sim World. Now, this is a route that I do sign in real life. However, I've not driven it for quite some time. It's one that's on my list of routes to refresh. So let's just hope that I can remember where I'm going. Oh dear, oh dear. Rightio. East Coastway, there we go. Timetable. We'll have the... Let's have the 313 timetable. So I am aware that obviously the 313 wasn't released with the original game. That wasn't after release. But we're kind of going on routes here more than anything. So we'll do the 377 Eastbourne to Brighton. Then I think we'll jump in the 313 and do a Brighton to Seaford back in that. Pete Wright, good evening, Richard. Managed to catch your live stream tonight. It's been a while. Yeah, it has, Pete. I haven't seen you in one for a little while. It's good to have you in, my friend. Okay, 377. And we're going to do an Or to Brighton via Eastbourne. Or Hastings to Brighton via Eastbourne. Semi-fast. I want a stopping service if we can find one. Semi-fast, semi-fast. Are they all semi-fasts? Oh, that's... okay. Well, that's 42 minutes there. 2 Golf 1-1 Hastings to Brighton via Eastbourne. Let's give that one a go. Let's jump into that one. Dynamic weather, 15th of February. That means it's going to snow because that's just the way Train Sim seems to work. Leo, can we go to Newhaven Marine? Once we get down there, Leo, drop me a reminder and we'll see what we can do. We might be able to do a little free roam or something in there. Might be able to do a bonus freight run, Lewes to Newhaven Marine or something like that. We'll see. Trainboy 313, Deborah, I hope we don't get any confusion and any delay. Oh, there'll be delay. If I'm involved, there'll be some sort of delay. Radio, let's get your game audio on. As always, guys, let me know if you need that up or down or whether that is coming through loud and clear. Here we are, Eastbourne Station. Somewhere I am very, very familiar with. This is my old stomping ground growing up. First thing we're going to do, and as always, get our safety systems on. AWS, DSD, Vigilance, and DRA. I should know how to drive a 377 because I spent quite a lot of my early railway career driving 375s and 377s, so I am relatively familiar with the traction. And good practice is to get up out the chair, open the doors on the actual side of the platform there, rather than using the local buttons. Right, DRA should be set. We are sitting on a red signal there anyway, so train next to us is going to go out first, and let's get some headlights on as well. So okay, yeah, so we have weird Train Sim World lighting bugs. So this is an older route. This is a Train Sim World 2 route, and some of the lighting bugs are really frustrating, i.e. it shows all red. What have we got on the outside? We've got correct illumination on the outside, just the one on the inside not showing correctly there. But never mind, never mind. I think we'll be absolutely fine with that. So, station stops wise, Hampden Park, Polegate, Berwick, Glynde, Lewes, Falmer, Morscombe, and Brighton. So we are all stations with the exception of London Road. Radio, lock doors. Playing HUDless, Leo Low. Yo. Yeah, we'll go on. Challenge accepted. Game sound is good, Jack. Perfect. Right, lock doors. Locking doors against a red signal is not something you want to do. You normally wait till the signal clears before you lock doors. However, I believe the game will not clear that signal until we have done so. And there was a train that left just ahead of us. So we'll turn the HUD off, wait for that train to depart, and we will get on our way. Hussein, hello, how are we doing? Who doesn't love a good 377? They're pretty solid traction, if I'm being fair. Fabio, what's the general feeling to drive a 377? Yeah, they're pretty solid, Fabio, if I'm being honest. They're nice to drive. Okay, DRA off, into forward. No guard on, but we'll do ding ding. Okay, got a green 25 leaving Eastbourne, up to 70 round the corner. First station stop is going to be Hampden Park. This is one of those routes as well. I think for an older route, it's really good. It's another one that I think could do with a remaster. I would absolutely be here for that. Like I say, this is kind of my old stomping ground, so it's the most local route to me. So yeah, of course I'd like to see it remastered. Why does one headlight come on brighter? So what you've got on your headlights, I'll sort of jump outside quickly and show you, is you've got the big headlight on the left there, that is your day running light. The big headlight on the right is your night's running light. And these little white white ones there are your marker lights. So as part of the standard for trains, they should have this triangular style lighting configuration. And if you've got a train with this triangular style lighting configuration, you don't actually need a yellow front anymore. So that's why we have 3 lights on the front, but only one of them is the headlight. It does change on some trains, I think like the 700s, you've got headlights on both sides. Okay, we should have gone up to 70 now. Yes, we have indeed. 2 yellows. Red is before Hampden Park at the moment. Should remaster with an extension to Orr and Hayward Heath. Leola, I absolutely. I mean, I would like to see this remastered and then Eastbourne to Ashford put back in. 2 yellows, we just shut off power. Have a little bit of a running brake test, just make sure they're working. Yeah, the brakes are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I think with the a 171 would be superb. A nice run over to Ashford. That would be a really nice additional route. And then you're linking up, definitely the Kemah branch up to Hayward Heath, because then you're linking up the London to Brighton with the South Eastern High Speed. 1 yellow, red still before Hampden Park, down is Sainsbury's. Jack, why do they change headlights from day to night, not to days the oncoming trains perhaps? Red ahead. Jack, the day headlights are actually brighter than the night headlights. But you can, they are interchangeable though. You can use your day ones at night and your night ones at day. There's kind of no... You should be using day at day, night at night, but if one fails, you can use them interchangeably. The signals just do not stand out very clearly in this, do they, compared to the newer routes? We've got 1 yellow. Red's at the end of the platform at Hampden Park. Yeah, East Midlands, I believe that marker lights are to be used in depots so it doesn't dazzle drivers. You're quite right, East Midlands Railway fan. If you're coming into a depot, switch over to your marker lights. That is the rule. Then if there's anyone on the ground, you're not going to dazzle them. Right, so after the last stream where I was driving the... I can't remember what the traction was, the 31... and my braking was absolutely awful. Hopefully we're going to be a little bit more measured this time. Right, so we are coming in to Hampden Park against the red. Has now stepped up to green. What I was going to say is we're stopping for the red signal rather than the platform. But now that's stepped up to green, that is largely irrelevant. Son number 2 walking behind me. He had surgery today, so he looks like a pirate at the moment. Captain Jack Sparrow. Try and use no more than brake step 1, brake step 2 every station. We're a 4-car train heading for the 4-car mark. I remember the 4-car mark at Hampden Park being a bit further down the platform actually, so that's why we're using brake step 3. That's my excuse, I'm sticking to it. Right, 4 on the 4, doors on the left, get them open. There we go. Jack, you kept telling us you were better in real life last stream. This is your patch. This is your patch of familiar train. I'm holding you to high standards. No tea and biscuits with the manager here, Jack. I did preface that at the beginning of the stream by saying I have not driven this route for a little while. I'm a little bit rusty on it. I do need, in real life, I need a refresher on this route. Lee Grant, what happens if a driver breaks the speed limit? Generally not good, Lee. So as drivers, we are subject to regular competency assessments, and part of that competency assessment is a random download. So all trains are fitted with black boxes, like aeroplanes, and as part of your competency assessment, you will be randomly downloaded on those black boxes, and the manager will go through the download and analyse it thoroughly to make sure you're driving appropriately. Right, 4 cars off to Polegate. If you're found on there to be speeding by quite a bit over the limit or quite consistently, you're likely to be pulled off track and be told off quite severely. You know, if it's 60 and you've done 61 and put the brakes in and slowed down, that's not going to be the end of the world. You know, it's kind of everything's proportionate. You know, if it's a 5 mile an hour and you're doing 10, that's 100% over the limit. So, you know, you're going to be pulled in for that. But if it's a 90 mile an hour limit and you're doing 92, you know, yeah, slow down, get your speed down. As long as you're not kind of constantly driving over the limit. I think every manager's going to handle it slightly differently. But generally, we try and keep under the limits. There is a thing called TPWS, train protection warning system, as well on the track. So if you approach certain speed restrictions and red signals too fast, it will take you out. You'll get an emergency brake application, which is not good news. Ashley Coles, I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing? Right, my old house growing up was on the left over there somewhere. And all you used to see coming past here were SIGs back in the day. Pete Wright, the 377 is a good train because it was built in my home city of Derby. It is a good train, Pete. They're pretty solid. They've proven to be reliable. They're relatively comfortable. Right, 30 warning coming up. Yeah, they're generally a solid train, if I'm being completely honest. 35 even. And we get some brakes in. It starts just up round the corner there. We sort of go round to the right and then round to the left into Polegate. So this is one of those speed restrictions that does have TPWS loops approaching it, which basically means on approach to the speed restriction, our speed's going to be measured, and if we're found to be going too fast, the train is going to put the emergency brakes on. We've then got to make a phone call to the signaller and report it and complete an RT3185 signalling irregularity form, and that will 100% be tea and biscuits with the manager. I did say I was going to turn the HUD off as well, didn't I? There we go. So down for the 35, we're going to curve around to the right, which is where it's going to start. Oh, actually, I'm pleased they went well. I hope you're recovering well, my friend. There's your 35. We're down in plenty of time for that. And we go around to the left, onto the straight, and we'll see Polegate Station in front of us. Jack, perhaps a silly question. Do drivers get told the speed sets for TPW overspeeds? Would seem pretty silly. So the logic behind it, Jack, is I don't think there's a universal ruling on it, but my drivers certainly don't get told them. And when I was a passenger driver, we didn't get told them. And I think there's a risk that if you tell the drivers what the TPWS speeds are, you start driving to the TPWS speed rather than the conditions. Rather than thinking, oh, I've got a 35 coming up on that corner, I'm thinking, oh, there's TPWS loop set for 48.5, so I'm going to make sure I'm doing under 48.5. So you start driving to the TPWS loops rather than the conditions, if that makes sense. Right, we are approaching Polegate now. 4 on the 4. Doors will be on the left-hand side. So stop short and door release and wrong side door releases are one of the biggest risk factors that we have as passenger train drivers. And that is 4 on the 4. And there we go, into neutral, 4-car train, 4-car mark platform on the left-hand side. We've got a green, so we don't need to set our DRA. Joshua, how do drivers manage to keep the speed limit without speeding up or slowing down? You spend a lot of your life, Joshua, coasting, to be honest. So you've got a metal wheel on a metal rail. Trains will coast for miles. You can let the gradient take you for miles. And your route knowledge gets to such a stage where you know exactly what you need to do when you drive that route. For example, if you're going towards London Bridge, Orpington to London Bridge, you leave Orpington, you accelerate to 54 miles an hour, you shut off power, and that train will roll it's a 70 mile an hour speed limit, or it goes down to 70. That train will roll, and you won't have to touch the brakes until Hither Green. You just know that that's the speed you need to accelerate to. Sometimes if you're running late, that gives you a bit of scope to get up to 60 and then, you know, constantly keep braking down for it. So you can make a little bit of time up. But yeah, you just kind of know when to shut off power, when to coast, when to accelerate. It's all forms part of your route knowledge. Right, okay, we've got a green. We are off to Berwick. Polegate signal box, which is no longer there. What have I done? Let's put it into forward. That will probably help. Beautiful stuff. Right, off we go then. Okie dokie. It is going to be time for our first round of Locomotive Livery Location.
Post your numbers now for
Hey, Danny, how you
Locomotive
doing?
Livery Location.
Okay, if you've not seen this game before, then post your numbers in the chat between 1 and 36. I'm going to pick the third number that comes up on my screen, and you will very quickly get the hang of it. Lee Grant, do drivers get retrained every so many years? So again, it depends on what company you work for, but drivers are going to get regular assessments. So in my company, we work on a 3-year cycle. So every 3 years you get a full rules assessment, and then every year you're going to get a ride out of a manager, you're going to get a download, you're going to get other types of assessments. We have something called unobtrusive assessments, which is where basically a driver manager might get on your train and just sit in the passenger compartment and sort of look at what you're doing. You might get a download of the GSMR voice tapes to the signaller. So yeah, you do get like safety briefs and stuff like that. So when there's rule changes, you kind of get briefed on it. But yeah, there's a constant assessment and relearning process. You're not it's not like driving a car where you're given your license and told to get on with it. When you're driving a train, you are constantly reassessed on your skills and ability. Okay, Locomotive Location Livery, Bluegrass 8082. Good to see you, my friend. Haven't seen you in for a little while. Third number on my screen. Jack, you got it with number 25.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
So I'm going to give you number 25, guys. 10 seconds for that Locomotive Livery Location, please. So there's 25. What is it? And where is it? Let me know your thoughts. Any ideas as we pass over Wilmington AHB level crossing? Speed limit's currently 90. It will drop just before Berwick to 80. But we are stopping at Berwick. Hey, Tim Fuller, welcome to Dabrow, new subscriber. Great to have you here, my friend. Jack, can you drive freight a bit more? Can you drive a bit more aggressively in freight? Yes, no, maybe. Freight is a very different driving style, I would say. I wouldn't say you drive it more aggressively. It's a very different driving style with freight. Okay, so we're coming towards Berwick now, so I've just put brake step 1 in. We might need a little bit more to bring that in. I think we're definitely going to need a little bit more because we're going way too fast. I never drove this route as a passenger driver. I've only ever driven this route as a freight driver. Bring that back to brake step 1. That's coming in absolutely lovely now. Yeah, went in a little bit too early with the brakes. Like I said, I don't have, because I've only ever learnt to drive this as a freight train driver. I know the route. 75, I thought that was 80 there. I did say I need a refresher on it. Yeah, because I learnt it as a passenger train, as a freight train driver. I didn't have any don't learn braking points for stations. So I know where the stations are. I can stop at them, but I wouldn't be able to drive it as efficiently as a passenger train driver. And we're using brake step 3 there, which we don't really want to be doing. And that's close enough on the mark. Right, 4-car train, 4-car mark, doors on the left-hand side. East Midlands Railway fan, Dawlish. Train boy, yeah, photo from me tonight. Rick Ashtray, that's too easy. Go on then, Rick. Ashley Coles, what happens when a 66 overspeeds the speed limit? So 66 is rated for 75 miles an hour. If you exceed 75, I think at 77 it drops the power, and I think 78 or 79 it'll put the emergency brake on. Which again is team biscuits with the manager for sure. What freight have you driven down this route? Not a lot of freight comes down here. Rick Ashtray, so primarily services down to Newhaven on the Seaford branch, but mostly along here it's possession trains and like RHTTs, so railhead treatment trains and snow and ice trains. Lock doors. Off to Glide. Yeah, but other than that, Rick, yeah, you're right. There's no kind of booked freight down here. I think because the line you need to reverse at Eastbourne, and Eastbourne's only a 12-car platform, so there's just no freight terminals sort of down this way. Right, running on greens. Next station stop will be Glide. 75 at the moment, does go up to 90 once we get just off the end of the platform here. So we've got, talking of 90 of you lovely people watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button and consider subscribing. That would be absolutely fantastic. There is our 90 board. Next reduction in speed will be, I'm going to get it wrong, 80 just before Glide. Or just after Ripe AHB level crossing. Whistleboard. Official line on whistleboard is sound the low tone of your horn between the hours of 0600 and 23:59. Most drivers, including myself, will give 2 tones because it's nicer. But the rule book requirement is low tone only between the hours of 0600 and 23:59. Except if you see somebody on the crossing, then you would you'd sound your horn regardless of time. Jack, have you ever driven Class 7 or Class 8 head code? I've signalled Class 7 before, but still no Class 8, which is very annoying. Jack, I've never encountered a Class 8. Class 7 fairly regularly. We do have relatively regular Class 7 workings. So for everybody else in the chat, class of trains, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Class 1 is express passenger, Class 2... kind of, this is how it's supposed to work. Class 1 is express passenger, Class 2 is local stopping passenger, Class 3 is specially authorised empty coaching stock or railhead treatment trains or other on-track machines. Class 4 is express freight, so maximum speed of 75 miles an hour, express freight or parcel. Class 5 is empty coaching stock. Class 6 is a 60 mile an hour passenger train, Class 7 is a 45 mile an hour passenger train, Class 8 is a 35 mile an hour passenger train, and Class 9 used to be reserved for international services, but I think they use Class 9 for Thameslink and LNER, so I think Class 9 is like special priority or something. Right, I don't know why I'm slowing down because we are miles away from Glide and we are good for 90. Traffic 71 got my 175 hours assessment next week. A bit nervous. Oh, good luck, my friend. Best of luck with it. You'll be absolutely fine, I'm sure. TF2 CV TPWS still perplexes me. In NL, we often use signals combined with a number called, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, lower than the line speed, and then you aim to drive at that speed. Yeah, TPWS, it's a passive system, so if you're driving appropriately, you should never have to think about it. That's the idea behind it. It's kind of a safety net that's there, but as the driver, you're not ever really interacting with it. Right, there is our 80 that I spoke about earlier, but completely failed to slow down for. We're going to get the distance signal for Glide. So I'm going to keep brake step 1 in because we're not too far away from Glide now. Yeah, East Midlands, don't forget the Class 0. So Class 0 head code is typically a light engine movement. So a light engine movement can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locomotives altogether. If they've got no coaching stock, it is classed as a light engine movement. And light engine movements are restricted to 75 miles an hour. If the line speed is 90 or above, light engine movements are allowed to do 75. If it's 85 or under, light engine movements are restricted to 60 miles per hour. Except Class 67s, and I think Class 86s and 88s have got special dispensation from that rule. They're allowed to go a little bit faster. Right, Glide is just around the corner here. Let's get a little bit more brake in. Staggered platforms there, so not that staggered though. And we are 4 for the 4, Electrostar's got really good brakes, very forgiving if you're coming in a bit fast like I am there. And in an ideal world, you want to get your stop car marker just inside the window there. And there we go. That will do nicely. 4 on the 4. Doors on the left-hand side. Jack 1 Zulu 99 running as a Class 67 are allowed to go faster as of yesterday. So 1 Zulu 99 is a rescue engine or a rescue train. So if a train's failed, you'll typically deploy a 1 Zulu 99, which is a Thunderbird head code. So if you're sending something out to rescue something, so if you ever see a 1 Zulu 99 on open train times, that's what it'll be. It'll be a move going to rescue something. Right, we are running ever so slightly late here, which is not ideal. Oh, excuse me. Next station stop will be Lewes. We've got a 10-mile-an-hour restriction going into Lewes as well. We need to be mindful of that. So 80, it's going to drop down to 60 a little bit further up. Let's just check I'm getting this right. I've got the HUD on, so let's turn that off. It's cheating. And then we've got 20 before Lewes and then 10 into the platform. GJ, good evening, my friend. How are you doing? Lee Grant, if a driver had claustrophobia, can they work as a train driver, like on the underground? Oh, good question, Lee. I guess it depends on to what extent the claustrophobia is and how it's going to affect you at work. Sussex Round Enthusiast, I had a 1 Zulu 99 earlier this week. 59206 failed over Havant North Junction on 6 Oscar 68. Okay, just passing through Beddingham now. We've got Sutherham Junction coming up. Womble, why and when did train drivers now don't sound the horn when entering tunnels? So there were lots of occasions of when you should sound the horn that were taken out of the rule book, entering or leaving tunnels, passing through station platforms. There's a couple that I can remember off my head. But yeah, they were all taken out of the rule book before I started driving even. So that's 13, 14 years now. Yeah, so they've been out of the rule book for quite a long time, and I think a lot of it was to do with noise abatement. So we've got safety procedures that are in place are a lot more rugged now than they used to be in terms of people being on the track. So it was just deemed not necessary, just making excess noise for the sake of it. Right, just coming over Sutherham Junction. It's 40 mile an hour across the junction if we were diverging, which we're not. 313 waiting to go over. Going to take one of those for a ride in a minute. That is going to be our warning for a 40. There's our 60, which we are down for nicely. Drop a little bit of braking for the 40, then 20 for Lewes and 10 into the platform. Passing underneath the A27. And that's going to be our warning for our 20, but we are 10 if we are going off to the left and right. Yeah, so Lewes has actually been re-signalled since this route was built. So brake step 1 there, bringing us in nicely for the 40 mile an hour restriction. I'm going to leave that brake in. And we should get a position 1 junction indicator. I think we can take a 1 or a 2 off the next signal. So special visitor to Lewes in the coming weeks will be the Rail 200 train. So look out for that. So there's our 20 and we'll get down to 10 for the junction. Lewes on the railway, I believe you don't have to blast the horn when you have authorisation to go past the red signal. No, you don't. It used to be a long blast of the high tone. That was also removed from the rulebook. Leo, is 10 mile an hour slowest on the network which passenger trains run? Well, they're slower when they're stopped at stations, Leo, I would say. In terms of speed limit, now you've got 5 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour through carriage washers. So it's definitely slower than 10 out there. 10 actually starts at the next set of points, but we'll get it down nice and early. Lewes signal box. This is all now controlled by the Free British Rail Operations Centre. Lovely stuff. And as we approach Lewes, let's press the button.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
And we are red ahead. Which means once we come to a stand, we do need to set our DRA, Driver Reminder Appliance. Three to 5 car stop marker, absolutely lovely. Right, brake step 3, DRA into neutral, train secure, doors open on the left hand side. Deborah, I think he only means on mainline speeds and not... I've not come across any 5 mile an hour mainline speeds, but yeah, quite possibly, there quite possibly is. Okay, on the numbers. Bluegrass, you were first. Raygun, you were second. Womble, 13. You're the third one on my screen, my friend, with at number 12.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Gonna give you number 12 this time. 10 seconds for that Locomotive Livery Location. If you can. Ah, well. What is it? Where is it? Any thoughts? Let me know what you're thinking. 313 coming the other way. Let's have a... this will be us on the return journey. Let's have a nice cinematic shot, shall we? Lee Grant, is there any UK trains that's difficult to drive? Depends what you mean by difficult, Lee. Nothing's difficult when you know how. I mean, you've got trains that are certainly more complicated. For example, Class 73s, 86s, 87s, or what they call tap changing locos, so you've got to notch up, notch down. The way you drive them is quite different. Driving freight is very different to driving passenger. There's a lot more skill involved in driving a freight train. Not that there isn't skill involved in driving a passenger train, it's just a different discipline. I would say your actual train handling when you're driving a freight train, it's got to be a lot better and a lot more on point. Ashley Cole's got 66 DRS livery. Lewis on the railway, DTG cancelled the 805 preview stream. Oh, that 313 went over there, look. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, it is starting to snow. I called it. Okay, got a green. We knew it was going to snow because this is what Train Sim does. The dynamic weather feature is good but predictable. 10 miles an hour leaving Lewes. We are now on the down east... No, we're on the up east branch. Quite a steep uphill grade as well coming out of Lewes. Let's get some sort of windscreen wiper type thing going. Bluegrass says GBRF 66 at Tunbridge. .45, 55, 55 will stay with us until we get over the A27 road bridge, and then the line speed will go back up to 70. The railway channel, when I was a passenger driver, it was predominantly 375s, 377s. So before I was on the main line, I was a shunt driver, and as a shunt driver, we're sort of driving to and from the station, so bringing trains into and out of service. And I signed 395s, 465s, 376s as part of that. But yeah, as actually mainline passenger driving, it's been 377s, 375s. Traction card on freight is a little bit more varied. That's just my route card. Right, I reckon we're clear there, aren't we? Yeah, let's get going. Sound buttons illuminating there, showing us we are slipping a little bit. We'll take a little bit of power out. Electrostars don't really tend to slip that bad. They tend to be quite reliable. Rick Astro, what's the best thing you like about driving trains? Being out and about, Rick, and the freedom. Absolutely. Being stuck in an office all day, I do quite a lot of that now, but I like being out and about and seeing the changing seasons and seeing the world go past. It's, yeah, it's nice. Right, let's get a bit more wipers in. We are good for 55, just coming up to Kingston Tunnel. XSE Dan, hi Richard, do you ease off the throttle through third rail gaps? So yeah, in real life, absolutely. You try not to take power through third rail gaps because it can give you a bit of a jolt. With modern traction, because the shoes are so far apart on the train, you very rarely find gaps. There are a couple of places you drop into gaps. When driving class 73 traction, absolutely you shut off going through the gaps because you can draw huge arcs and blow the circuit breakers because they're old traction and they don't have all the sort of protective computer-y stuff on them. Right, just been out through Kingston Tunnel. Line speed goes up to 70. We are going up Falmer Bank now. Next station stop is Falmer, isn't it? Yeah, Falmer, Moulsecoombe, and then straight into Brighton. We're not doing London Road on this one. Lewis on the railway, more in an office now. Are you a driver team manager? I couldn't possibly comment, Lewis. The official line is former passenger train driver, mainline freight train driver. Joshua Summers, what is the best apprenticeship for trains? Because I'm planning on doing an apprenticeship with trains in September. Depends on which way you want to go, Joshua. So a lot of companies offer apprenticeships in the engineering side. You can also get like customer service apprenticeships on platforms and stuff. So definitely some options out there to explore. Kind of depends on what direction you want to go in. Jack, the benefit of DC, no neutral sections. Yes, there's no neutral sections in the traditional sense, Jack, but you do have obviously gaps in the third rail. When you go across level crossings, junctions and stuff like that, you've got to be careful not to stop in a gap. Otherwise, yeah, that's going to be tea and biscuits with the manager. Sussex Round Enthusiast, what does the future hold for the 73s? No idea, if I'm being completely honest. They're nice to drive. I enjoy them. Most people enjoy them. But yeah, absolutely no idea what the future holds. And if I did know, I wouldn't be able to tell you anyway. So, right, we are just about to crest the top of the hill, just past the substation. We are speeding a bit as well, so let's just gradient will take most of that off because we are steep uphill here, Falmer Bank. Thank you very much, Lewis. Getting nice and snowy. And there's our substation coming up on the left. Gradient will change and we'll start going downhill. Got to be a bit careful on the approach to Falmer because it can run away with you pretty quickly if you're not careful. Raygun, going to be interesting to see what the 99s get up to this year. Yeah, I was penciled in to do a 99 course just before Christmas, but for reasons I won't go into, it didn't happen. So I am looking forward to eventually getting on those. So I think we need a little bit more brake there as we come into the tunnel. And as we approach Falmer...
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
So you've got to be a little bit careful here because you're on quite a steep downhill gradient, so you can think you're coming in nicely, then the speed just pushes you away. Hey, Lewis on the railway, that's very kind of you, my friend. Thank you very much. See, brake step 2, and that's not really having too much to do with it. Are we going to need a bit more? 2 will stop it. Let's give it a little bit of 3. Falmer, a light here for the Amex Stadium and the University of Brighton. We've gone a little bit past the stop car mark, but nothing too drastic. We are all on the platform. 4 on the 4 doors on the left-hand side. That wiper is most annoying. Let's get that turned off for a minute. Radio on the numbers. Bluegrass, you're the third one there, my friend, with number 17.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Let's give you number 17. Once again, 10 seconds for that Locomotive Livery Location. If you can. What is it? Where is it, guys? What's your thoughts? Bit of slippy there as we pull away. Leo, what if you stopped on the gap after you get a GSMR emergency call? You're going to hope that you release the brakes and the gradient is going to allow you to move forward or backwards to get back onto the conductor rail. Preferably forwards, because moving backwards is tea and biscuits in itself. If failing that, you're going to need a 1 Zulu 99 to come out and rescue you. Railway Channel, how did you find 465s to drive? I like driving 465s. I found them a lot more raw, if that makes sense. So, a lot more kind of... Driving a 377 is like driving a computer. So when you move this little control handle, you're telling the computer how much power you want, and it all happens. But the 465s, you kind of... There was more of a feel to it. When you move the handle, it's more sort of mechanical and clunky. And yeah, I really enjoy driving those. Thoroughly enjoy driving those. Joshua Summer 66. Bluegrass was hoping for reflections. Ray got a shed, but not fully convinced it's DRS. Ashley Cole 66 on a Tesco tray. GJ 66014 just arrived at the docks. That's keep your guesses coming. If you get the right boxes, this is very gettable. And I know I say that about all of them, but it absolutely is. There's some real good clues on this. So, just about to pass over Hodshrove Viaduct. Just about there, look. And Falmer Station is not too far away at this point, so we're going to start to get the brakes in. And we're going to be completely honest with you, Falmer Station is around here somewhere, but I'm not exactly sure where it is. So, that'll be the one up there. I knew it was there somewhere. Quite a short platform at Falmer, so get a little bit more brake in. Coming down for 20. So using way too much brake step 3 in this. My argument for that would be I am driving the train to its maximum potential. Using the maximum potential brake force in order to maximise efficiency. We'll go with that. Lewes on the railway. If drivers consistently went over AWS magnets not at 10 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour, would their manager pick them up almost instantly? Lewes, so AWS magnets approaching reds. Every company will have their own standard as to how they want you to drive. So it's not a rulebook requirement, I don't believe. It's a company requirement. So, company I used to work for, it was 20 mile an hour at the AWS magnet. Company I currently work for, 10 mile an hour at the AWS magnet. It is one of the key performance indicators. So when you do a download on a driver, when a driver gets downloaded, one of the things that's being looked at are those triggers at AWS magnets. So, you will look at it and go, you know, what speed was the driver doing at the AWS magnet approaching a red? And on certain types of traction, if you go over an AWS magnet and then stop within 200 metres, and you've done more than 10 over that AWS magnet, it will automatically send an alert off to your manager, and they'll get a direct alert. So, yeah, it is one of those key performance indicators. It is one of those things that drivers are graded on, and it is one of those areas where you're told how to drive, basically. It is very white outside. This dynamic weather and lighting on these older routes is certainly not great, is it? Lots of kind of artifacting and clipping going on. Right, next station stop is Brighton, where we're going to turn around, jump in a 313 and go back the other way down to Seaford. Lee Grant, being a train driver must be relaxing. It can be at times, Lee, but it can also be... The trouble is you can go from 0 to 100 just like that. You suffer from something called cognitive underload some of the time, especially if you're like mainline high-speed train driving. You go miles and miles and miles without doing anything or interacting with the controls, and it's being able to pull yourself back from that when you need to. So being able to recognise that you've gone from having 20 minutes, half an hour of doing nothing, and you now need to be able to bring yourself back to a state of conscious competency in order to react to what's been seen. And it may sound really easy, a yellow signal slow down, red signal stop, station stop. It all seems really logical. But you imagine, if you're travelling along at 125 miles an hour and you lose your chain of thought for whatever reason and just forget to put your brakes on for a station and then go sailing through it, literally because you just allowed your mind to wander. You've just been looking around at the scenery going, it all looks quite nice today, doesn't it? It's a bit snowy, it's a bit lovely. I wonder what's going on at home. I wonder where should I go for my holidays this year? What's going on at the weekend? And you've done this journey 100 times before, 1,000 times before without incident. You're really comfortable with it, and you're just not thinking about what you're doing. And on that one day, you forget to put the brake on for that station, and you go sailing through it. And it happens. It happens in the real world. And that's kind of... So yeah, it is relaxing, but don't get too relaxed. Is what I would say, basically. Righty-o, we are coming into Brighton. This is London Road Viaduct. Beautiful structure. Quite a pleasure to drive across here, if I'm being honest. And we're going into platform 5. It's going to be 20 mile an hour across Montpelier Junction at the end of the viaduct. Jack, have you ever missed a DSD? Have I ever missed a DSD? Good point. I've missed an AWS, Jack, a couple of times. I don't think I've ever missed a DSD. So, Montpelier Junction, coming into Brighton. Company driving policy, depending on your company, will normally say 15 miles an hour at the platform ramps. And then all buffer stops at terminal stations are protected with TPWS loops, and we want to make sure we're doing it no more than 10 miles an hour. They're set for 10, so you want to be under. So 8 is great, 7's heaven. So constantly going through third rail gaps, as you can hear there. That's what the clicking is. The relay's clicking in and out. Right, 15 at the platform ramps. Looking for those TPWS loops where we want to be down to no more than 10. Jack, exact reason I would never be a driver. I can only mess up when something is already going wrong. Things usually fail safe when trains come to a stand. Not the case for drivers. Yeah, well, if you go sailing through a station, Jack, it's going to be tea and biscuits with the manager. If you do it too often, it'll be career-ending for sure. But it's not necessarily a safety concern as such. I think opening the doors on the wrong side is a big issue. Stopping short on the platform, so you've got coaches hanging off the end and opening the doors, so people don't look. They just open the doors, get out, and there's no platform there. That poses a massive risk. And the official line is about 6 foot away from buffer stops. Quite difficult to judge in these trains because I reckon that's about right. We'll get out and have a look. DRA on, into neutral. Doors on the left-hand side. Are we about 6 foot? Oh, I'm going to say that's a generous 6 foot. Nobody's getting a tape measure out and coming to check, but... Oh, okay, we've somehow managed to remove ourselves from Brighton Station. Can we get back in? Let me back in. Camera work's not going well here, is it? Yeah, I'm saying that's a good 6 foot. And of course, red's up on the back as well. Gold medal! We'll absolutely take that. How do we do on our stop accuracy? 6.21213 605 159 0.481. You know, I was saying 6 foot off the buffer stops. 0.481 yards. I mean, that's... I'm taking that. That's very good. I'm taking that. Even they're all pretty good. Stop accuracy's been really good, apart from Hampden Park and Berwick. Yeah, you can tell I know this route. Okie dokie, guys. Right, so we are going to go back to timetable mode. and we are going to do the other part of the East Coastway route. Now, I am aware that we are doing complete history of all the lines of Trains in World, and when this route was released, the 313 was not a thing. However, we're doing the routes, not the trains. So the 313 was a later release, so we are going to do a 313 down to Seaford. Sussex Rail enthusiasts, if you're still in the chat, we went out together and saw the last of the 313s. We got some lovely drone shots. There is a video on the channel, Farewell to the 313s, in which I kind of give you a heartfelt account of my history of railways growing up and why I like trains and why the 313 is comparable to the Flying Scotsman. So what have the Flying Scotsman and the 313 sort of got in common? It's a tenuous link. Radio Brighton to Seaford, 10:41 departure. I think we'll go with that. We'll keep dynamic weather on, but I'm going to change it to May so we don't get snow. Andy 3074, I got 5 circles purely because of Forza Horizon 4. That's Edinburgh. Lee Grant, how much time off does a driver have? So it's very, very company dependent. So you've got your statutory minimum leave in the UK. Some companies are on a 4-day week. Some companies are on a 5-day week. Some companies are 5 days with mandatory Sundays. Some companies give you 6 weeks annual leave a year. Some companies give you 5.5 statutory minimum. It's very, very company dependent. Rightio, I've got to remember how to drive the 313 now. It's been a little while since I had a go on this. Lewes, I'm guessing driver team managers are also subject to unannounced monitoring and random DNA tests. Yeah, so even managers have to be assessed. Managers have to be downloaded. And yeah, 100% managers have to take part in random testing. I think if drugs and alcohol testing turned up and the manager refused to do it and everyone else was made to do it, that's not leading by example. AWS, I'm sure there's another circuit breaker we need to do somewhere. EP brake. I'm sure there's another DSD one we've got to do. Come on, somebody who knows more about this train than me. I'm sure there's a DSD one somewhere. Cab heater. Aux control. CSR. Is it on this side? Okay, well we won't worry about it too much. I'm sure it's there somewhere. He says, still looking. It's going to frustrate me now because I can't find it. Rightio, key in. Into neutral. Doors on the left. DRA should be set. Oh no, we've got the signal to depart. The banner repeater's off, so we don't need to set the DRA. Headlights on. And we are waiting for departure. Okay, London Road, Moulsecoombe, Falmouth, Lewes, South East, Newhaven Town, Newhaven Harbour, and Bishopstone, and finally Seaford. I think the DSD is bugged on this unit. Okay. John 2 Ward, you need a pep talk. I guess one of those, John. Right, lock doors. We are ready for departure. Sussex Rail, Glynde Reach was bliss that morning. Haven't been down there since. It was absolutely lovely. Yeah, I've really enjoyed that day. Probably wouldn't want to do that in Brighton Station for real. Platform 8, the wooden platform. Incidentally, railhead treatment trains, snow and ice treatment trains are banned from platform 8 because they're too heavy. Okay, we've got an E, which is for East Branch. We're going to head on to the Down East Branch, 20 miles an hour across Montpellier Junction. First station stop will be London Road. Lee Grant, if there's going to be bad weather, do drivers get an email about it or a phone call? If there's going to be a blanket speed restriction or something like that, Lee, that the driver needs to be made aware of, you're possibly going to get an email about it. You're possibly going to get, in your depot, you'll get a notice put up in your late notice case, if your company has such things. But the way it's normally communicated out to you now is via the GSMR radio. So the signaller has the ability to do something called a general broadcast or a safety broadcast, which similar but different. Similar but different, that's brilliant, isn't it? So general broadcast is where the signaller can set the radio to broadcast a message to all trains in the area, and they can do that to broadcast every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes or whatever, but they can also set it to trigger at a certain point. So they can say, when this train gets to London Road, trigger a message on the radio to say, you know, there is a blanket speed restriction of 50 miles an hour or whatever else. Safety broadcast is very similar, where the train will get a message, but with a safety broadcast, the driver's required to actually... Does the radio work on this? Sort of, yeah, we can't set up. With a safety broadcast, the driver's actually required to acknowledge the message. So once you receive the message, you press the ST button, and it sends a ping back to the signal box that you've acknowledged the message. What will normally happen is if you don't acknowledge the message, you'll be stopped at the next signal, and the signal will actually call you up and speak to you. So yeah, that information is conveyed out. Sort of bad weather in general, no, you're not going to get told about that. But if there's a reason why that weather would affect the operational railway, then yeah, 100% you're going to get told about that. Right, can't remember what the brakes are like on the 313, so not as good as the 377, that's for sure. Nevertheless, a nice train to drive. Spencer likes trains. Hi, Deborah. How are you? Sorry, I'm late. Just got back from going out. No worries. So, as running for you, have you heard the local council wants to reopen Brighton Platform 9? I never knew there was a Platform 9. Jack, do you drive out of gauge? Yeah, occasionally, Jack, you get an out of gauge load. So you get an X-ray head code. If you've got an out of gauge load, it's accompanied by an RT3973 form. RT3973 exceptional load, so that carries additional restrictions saying where you can and can't go with the train. Right, what are we doing? Lock doors, let's get going. Lewis, I'm pretty confident with the GSMR, but what does the ST button mean or stand for? Please help Richard. Lewis, there's a great video on my channel regarding GSMR which does cover all that. It's quite a comprehensive video, if I do say so myself. But basically the ST button stands for stop. So it's a throwback from the CSR days. It doesn't really have... so when you get when we use it, when you get an emergency call on the GSMR, once you come to a stand, you press the ST button. On the old radio systems, I believe that would then send a ping to the signaller to tell them you come to a stand. I don't think it does on GSMR. The other time we use it is during safety broadcast. So once you've got a safety broadcast, you can press ST button, which will acknowledge the safety broadcast. But I believe it stands for stop. And it's a throwback from when we used to have CSR radios, because CSR radios had that feature. Jack, wait. Excellent. Jack, setting a route without the train acknowledging the broadcast is a tea and biscuits with the manager. There we go. Right, coasting board for Falmer. That's what that white diamond was there, not to be confused with a track circuit diamond. So I'm going to shut off, allow the train to coast. Someone was asking earlier, yeah, Peter, right, there we go. When filling tankers with flammable liquids, i.e. petrol, etc., do you take more care? You don't take more care as such, Peter. So dangerous goods trains do have a few additional rules and restrictions, which I'm not going to go into for obvious reasons. But you will have, like, same as if you drive a tanker on the road, you'll kind of get dangerous goods paperwork, which kind of tells you, if this train's involved in an emergency, these are what you need to know as the driver. Keep downwind of the product, blah blah blah, do this, do that. Yeah, you need to know what you're carrying and kind of how to deal with it in an emergency, or how to keep yourself safe in an emergency. Right, Morscombe Station.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Oh, we could not have got any closer if we had tried. That was quite good. I'm taking that. I'm having that. Right, GJ, you are the first number. Joshua, you're the second. Pig and Bob, you're the third one, my friend, with number 25.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Let's give you 25 this time, which we've already had. So we'll go to the next number on the screen, which is not popped up yet. Next person to post is going to get their number chosen. Anybody, come on, give me a number. We are departing Moulskeen. Let's have a number. Hey, Leo's got there. 16. Here we go. Ah, well, that's blown that wide open. If you can't get the livery now, then there's no hope. Lee Grant, are drivers allowed to eat in the cabs? Absolutely, yeah. You can do that, but you want to clean up after yourself. Keep the cab tidy. It's your office at the end of the day. Nothing worse than getting into a cab where the previous member of staff's left sandwich wrappers and coffee cups and Christ knows what else lying around. It's just not good. You know, we should be looking out for each other. Sexy Round Enthusiast, will you be out for 1013 on Saturday morning? Probably not. GJ's gone 66 at Brighton as we pass over Hodstrove Viaduct. Meaning Falmouth's not too far away. Andy's gone 66791 Tunbridge. GW Photography's gone GBRF 66 somewhere. The location is very gettable on this. It's a very well-known station. Jack, everybody loves a pacer. I do, anyway. Radio, where are we braking for? Falmouth. Got no idea. Let's brake here. I know it's not too far away. And the brakes on the 313 seem to be not great. GJ, could you give us a hint, Richard, please, on the similarity between a 313 and the Flying Money Pit? Yes, I think, GJ, so if you go back and watch the video on the channel, what I was basically getting at, it's all about nostalgia, isn't it? You know, when... with the 313s, you know, good riddance to old rubbish. With the slam doors at the time, oh yeah, good riddance to old rubbish. You know, I was one of those, oh yeah, these trains have been around for ages, get rid of them, get these nice new shiny things in. But after a while, you get nostalgic about things and you start to miss it. And that was the same with the 313s. They're peps. They're just horrible little trains that really commuters did. I mean, with enthusiasts, they were quite liked. But yeah. But one day, you know, like people now go out and see the Flying Scotsman or want to go to a museum to see the Flying Scotsman. Is a 313 going to be like that one day? Are people going to go out for a 313? Is there going to be that nostalgia? If this is the train that you travel to school on every day, there's going to be that nostalgia there. You know, same sort of nostalgia you might have for the Flying Scotsman. That was kind of my take on it. Doors on the left. GKS, guards, key switch. Guard has got the key on. Lewis, could you do a short freight run on one of these streams? Once we get down to Seaford, Lewis, we'll do probably a Newhaven to Lewes on a 66, just to finish it off nicely. Joshua, I'm still convinced it's a DRS 66. Ah, that would be telling. Lock doors. Sussex Round Enthusiast, there is a 313 in Prez. Yeah, there is indeed. Right, 60, we will go up to 70, and the next thing we've got to worry about really is going to be the 55 just before we pass over the A27 road bridge, and then the 10 coming into Lewes. Lewes, the 91 will be like that. Oh, the lighting has gone absolutely awful. Hopefully the tunnel will fix that for us. There is like a 4-VEP slam door. I think that's based at Strawberry Hill, isn't it, GJ? The Lara 313 maybe. I'd say a 507 might be more nostalgic for me growing up on the weekends to Liverpool. For me, it's probably the 508 if we're talking about Peps. They used to run out of Tunbridge when I started my railway career on the platform. Used to dispatch 508s. That's probably more for me, 508s. Hasn't fixed the horrible lighting issue. And there's a local instruction here that we have to perform a running brake test before descending Falmer Bank, because this is it's a really, really steep descent. Can confirm the brakes are working. Lee Grant, are trains getting more high-tech? Undoubtedly, Lee, yeah. They definitely are. So I think the new... I forget what they're called, the new southwestern ones. Is it the... not Azumas, Auroras? I think it begins... Arterios, the southwestern Arterios. They have sort of features on them where you come into a station and they will stop themselves on the platform. The driver will slow down for the station. When it gets to a certain speed and a certain distance, it will bring itself in and stop in the correct place and open the doors. The 700s through the Thameslink core are capable of ATO operations. So yeah, definitely it is, definitely. Luke, how far should you be stopping from a red signal? Roughly a locomotive length or a coach length. Right, we've got a 55 coming up, not too far down the hill. It's got a little bit of braking for that. Darrell, I'm just a bit confused. What is a running brake test? So a running brake test is a brake test on the move, so as opposed to a brake continuity test. And all you're doing on a running brake test is just putting the brake on. Again, this is one of those things where you'll have company driving policy, which will tell you how they want you to carry out the running brake test. Could be company specific, could be traction specific, and it's just to check the brakes actually work. So you've normally done a brake continuity test, or you've done a static brake test where you've moved the controls, you've watched your gauges and needles go up. But a running brake test actually confirms that when you put the brake on, the train is slowing down as you would expect it to. I've slowed down way too early for this 55, but that's okay. Better safe than sorry. 701 Arteria, that's the one, John. Robilly 999, good evening. See, 55's just by the signal here. We're going to get a warning for a 10 in a minute. So Spencer likes trains in terms of running brake test. So you carry out a running brake test at the first opportunity after starting the journey. You carry out a running brake test before your first stopping point. That normally coincides with your first opportunity. Before approaching a terminal station, before descending a steep falling gradient, before reaching a passing point on a single line, regularly doing low adhesion conditions or when falling snow is being disturbed by the passage of trains, after a brake fault rectification. I think I've covered them all. I forget which ones I have done and which ones I haven't done. But yeah, there's lots of occasions where there is mandatory running brake tests required. Train Spotting Hub. Hi, it's been a while since I tuned into one of your streams. My channel name used to be Trains, Planes and More. Yeah, I remember. Absolutely do. How's the channel coming along, my friend? Hopefully you're doing well. Right, we've got this 10 coming up into Lewes. The reason the speed limit is so low coming into Lewes is because there is limited overlap on the signal at the end of the platform. So what we mean by that is signals that protect junctions, there normally be something called an overlap beyond the signal. So if you were to spad that signal, the TPWS would fire off and your train would in theory be stopped before it actually reaches the conflicting point of the junction. However, here at Lewes, the signal is so close to the junction that if you was to approach it 20-30 miles an hour and spad the signal, you'd be straight into the path of an oncoming train. So that's why the speed coming into Lewes is so slow. And the 10 starts just by the overbridge coming up. There's our ground position light signal. So 10 for all routes. And there we are down for the 10. We have got a green, so no risk of spadding, which is good. Because spad is tea and biscuits with the manager. It's not good news. And we come into the beautiful Lewes station. So if you do want to see this route in real life, as someone did mention at the very beginning of the stream, there is a Seaford to Brighton 313 cab ride video with full commentary and route map on the channel. So you can go and check that out if you want to see what this route really looks like. Jack should have flank protection as well for that. Jack, I've got no idea what flank protection is. You'll have to... That's beyond my knowledge. Enlighten me. Sussex Round Enthusiast, lovely cafe on platform 2. Yes. Now, I have a story about that. But let's stop the train first because we need to make sure we are focusing correctly. Where's the stop car board? It's there somewhere. Right, 3 on the 3 doors on the left. So, normally, I'm a tea drinker. I do drink coffee occasionally, but I'm generally a tea drinker. If you go to Costa, Starbucks, Nero's, anything like that, you get a cup of tea. They say, do you want a regular tea or a large tea? So I'll have a large tea. But what a large tea is a weak cup of tea. Because you don't get a bigger tea bag. You don't get 2 tea bags. You just get the same tea bag with more water. And they charge you extra money for it. And it's like, oh, come on. This cafe here at Lewes, when you get a cup of tea, it's a pot of tea. They have a pot of tea brewed up. And they pour your tea from the pot. So when you ask for a large cup of tea, you actually get a large cup of brewed tea out of a teapot with milk. And that is, yeah, we're here for that. We are absolutely here for that. Right, we've got a green. We are off to Southeast. Darrow, do you remember when we look in the Discord photo chat in streams? Yeah, we haven't done that for a while. I should see if that still works and set it up again. Sussex Round, it's leaf tea as well. Ah, I did not know it was leaf tea. I assumed it was bags, but it was certainly a very nice cup of tea. I remember that much. So we were talking about third rail gaps earlier. You can see coming across the points there, you've got a big area with no third rail. I mean, in this case, front of the train's on the conductor rail. Back of the train's on the conductor rail, so we're absolutely fine. I don't know what we've got going on this side. We've got no conductor rail at all on this side. So yeah, that is absolutely fine. But you do have situations where actually we're going to drop into one now. So in a minute, this shoe here will fall into this conductor rail gap here. And then the back shoe will be in this conductor rail gap here. So we should get a loss of line light in a minute. There you go. Line volts has gone out. And it's just come back in. If you're taking too much power through there, you will feel a bit of a jolt as a passenger. Right, back of the train should be clear, I would have thought, yeah. Right, we should get 1 yellow on the next signal because we are going to be going around the Seaford branch. Transporting Hub, Darrow, the channel is growing quite a bit. It looks like your channel is still going strong. The videos are very entertaining. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear your channel's doing well. GW Photography, property is PG tips. I used to agree with you, but I've started drinking Yorkshire tea lately, which is very nice as well. But PG's equally nice. I just think Yorkshire's a little bit better. Or Twinings English breakfast tea, don't you know? That's the way to go. Okay, green. That is actually wrong because if you're going to Seaford, you should get 1 yellow here. So for me, in real life, this would mean that I've been wrong routed at the junction. So I'd be stopping at the next signal, contacting the signaller, and signallers are going to get in trouble for sending you the wrong way. It's going to be a tea and biscuits with the manager thing for them. So rather than phoning up, and it's a recorded line, so rather than phoning up the signaller and saying, signaller, I think you've wrong routed me, I'd be phoning up the signaller and saying, hello signaller, I've just come to a stand at signal X, Y and Z. I'm just going to check my diagram. Do you want to put the signal back to danger? That's kind of my way of saying, have another look. And most signallers will get the hint, and then it's all kind of not swept under the carpet, that's the wrong word, but sometimes the way you phrase things can be the difference between causing trouble and not causing trouble. I'm sure, Jack, you would very much appreciate that kind of approach to drivers stopping at signals. Trouble is, there'll inevitably be some sort of green in position 4. There'll inevitably be some sort of delay attribution with it that you'll have to explain away. Lee Grant, why are trains higher than the platform? Good question, Lee. In some areas, I think a lot of platform heights were historic. Why am I getting an AWS? That's unusual here. Okay, that's a little bit sooner than I was expecting it to be for Glime Reach Viaduct. I think a lot of platform heights are historic. A lot of platforms were built in Victorian times. Modern platforms, if you go to like London Bridge on the Thameslink lines or any of the Thameslink platforms through the core, Elizabeth line, they're all level access boarding. I think back in the day trains weren't all the same height, or yeah, I don't know, I'm making it up as I go along, but I'm pretty good at that. Train Spotting Hub, what's your favourite route in Trains in the World? Oh, there are so many good ones to choose from. If you'd asked me that before, I probably would have said London Commuter, hands down, or South Eastern High Speed, but you know, Birmingham Crew I think is really good. I think Riviera's really good. So yeah, there's a few more to go on now.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Right, just passed over Glime Reach Viaduct. We're coming around to South East. Let's get those numbers in for Locomotive Livery Location. Lewes on the railway. I would never want to drop anyone in it unless it's a very serious safety concern has or could arise. Yeah, exactly that, Lewis. I mean, there's certain things, you know, you've got to report. You don't have a choice, especially safety related. But generally, if we all look out for each other, it just makes the world a nicer place. You know, we have to accept that we're all humans. We all make mistakes occasionally. Like I say, there are certain things you've got no choice. You have to report. But yeah, it just makes life a little bit nicer, doesn't it? Jack, flank protection is the interlocking requiring points at a junction to be moved to avoid conflicting moves. For example, you are coming... I got you, Jack, yeah. Of course, at Lewes there, you've got no potential for that at all. So yeah, that'll be again why we've got the low speed coming into there. So there's our 60 just before South East. Line speed does go back up to 70 after the station. Coming in nice and slowly. Terrible lighting conditions, a little bit foggy. Never seen so many people at South East. Level crossing here at South East. You'd think it'd be called South East level crossing. No, that would be far too easy. That is Itford level crossing. And for those of you that know, there is a very interesting video of a train passing through South East somewhere on the internet. I'm not going to say any more about it, but those who know. Free on the free, doors on the left. Okay, on the numbers, what have we got? John 2 Ward, you are the third one, my friend, with number 26.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Gonna give you number 26, 10 seconds for that Locomotive Livery Location, if you can get it. What is that, guys? Where is it? Let me know your thoughts, as always. Blue glass. How often do signals make mistakes like rerouting? Have you ever seen it yourself? I've been wrong routed a couple of times. It doesn't happen mega often. You'd be quite surprised how often signallers don't know where we're going. That's the interesting one. We quite often get a phone call from a signaller saying, "Oh, I've got no workings for you, driver. Where are you going?" That happens more often than you would think, especially on freight. Not so much on passenger, but it definitely happens semi-regularly, I would say, on freight. Rob Lilly, it's a train. It certainly is. Spencer likes trains. Deborah, why do you have to stop at least a train or a coach length in front of a red signal? You want to stop so you've got good visibility of the signal. If you're aiming to stop right on top of it, then you've got a greater chance of going past it. You might just slightly misjudge your braking. So a coach length is sort of a good compromise. You want to stop at night, really. You want to stop close enough that you can actually read the signal number, because if the signaller does want to contact you, you're going to need to identify what signal you're at. But yeah, kind of a coach length is a pretty decent compromise. Trains, what you have? GBRF RHTT train, that's all I can tell for now. GBRF 66 at Lewes. Not much to go on with the current boxes there for location, but the location is definitely gettable. We'll do it again.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
We are just coming up to Newhaven Town Yard on our right hand side. Interesting fact, I went to Newhaven Town Yard this morning to meet a train. Got there and found out the train was cancelled, so I went there for no reason at all. But it's all good. 1 ball 13, Class 66 DRS at Waverley. Pig and Bob, you're the best at this game. Third one on the screen with number 14.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Number 14, guys, here we go. Oh, there you go. What is it? Where is it? Newhaven Town Yard doesn't look anything like that. That structure there doesn't exist. Maybe it did, but it certainly doesn't now. John Seward, Emo 999 got wrong route at Hither Green, but had it corrected. Hastings Diesels has done the same. I say it's not mega common to get wrong routed, but it does happen occasionally. And I think if the driver takes the wrong route, that's 50-50 on the driver and the signaller, because as the driver, you shouldn't be taking it. GJ's gone 66 at Brighton. Robberly's gone Haymarket. Trainspotter's gone Ely. And we are coming round into Newhaven Town Station. Still not a clue where that is. Never really been down south. How do you know it's down south? What gives you that impression? Sussex Round Enthusiast has gone East Croydon. And you've got these lovely kind of searchlight style signals down here. Stop! It's on the platform. That's all that matters. Bluegrass has gone GBRF 66 at London Bridge. Lewes on the railway. As a train enthusiast and aspiring train manager, I have a lot of respect for signallers. You all do a fantastic job in keeping the railway safe and on time. That's a nice comment to make, Lewis. I think there is friendly rivalry between drivers and signallers, but I think there's also mutual respect. Honestly. What, SG, wait. It's like playing table tennis. I think there's mutual respect between the two. You know, everyone who works on the railway, from from porters at stations, baggage handler, station cleaners, gate line staff, P-way, train maintenance, planners. It's such a massive industry with so many different facets, customer facing and non-customer facing. The amount of kind of back-end office roles, you wouldn't believe. There's absolutely loads of them. But at the end of the day, everyone works together to keep the network running and to keep it safe. And it doesn't matter, whether you're a train cleaner, for example, or whether you're the CEO of the company. Everyone has got an important role to play, and there is a lot of respect between staff and grades on the railway, and that's the way it should be. It's not a case of, I'm a driver, I'm not speaking to you because you're only a cleaner. I don't see much of that on the railway. I see everyone sort of working together, and that's a really, really nice way to be, and it's exactly how it should be. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that a lot of drivers and a lot of managers started in that position, started off as train cleaners or platform staff, and you work your way through, you learn about the industry, you progress. The industry's got a really strong history of promoting within and looking after their own staff. And so I think that's why you get that level of respect, because quite often the senior management have been there. They've done the jobs on the platform. They've come up through apprenticeship schemes and kind of youth training schemes and stuff. So you tend to have more respect because of that. Yeah, that's my experience of the industry anyway. Sort of just under 20 years in now. Just a boy on the job. Get some service in. Honestly, some of the brakes on this really are terrible, aren't they? Some of the staff I work with are like 40, 50 years experience. So I've got like 20 years, just coming up 20 years. And compared to some people, that's nothing. It really isn't. Lewes, cleaners are very important to the route. Absolutely, 100%. Trains working hard. 313 doesn't have the best braking. Absolutely, it doesn't. The Lara. I'm hoping my trainee conductor interview goes well. Railway seems a good career for life. I think we've seen a lot of changes in the industry. I think the industry's become quite corporate. Be interesting to see how it goes with GBR taking over everything. But yeah, it's generally, I don't think it's as good as it used to be, but it's generally a pretty good place to be. Okay, this level crossing is no longer there in real life. That is gone and closed, as is the signal box. We're going to come around onto the Seaford single line, heading up towards Bishopstone. Jack, the culture is one of respect for sure. Absolutely, Jack. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to get one or two people that don't see it that way, but largely, yes, it is. Very, very much so. Lewes on the Railway, LNER is doing an Azuma Simulator challenge on their YouTube channel. Darrell, please put your name forward. Be cheating. Right, back of the train's clear. Let's get it going up to Bishopstone. Sussex Rail, how will GBR affect the freight sector? I don't think it's going to have a massive difference. I think that the challenge for the freight sector is going to be ensuring that there's pathways to run freight trains and we don't become so passenger obsessed that we don't have freight train pathways. I think the positive thing about that is that freight is very high on the government's agenda. It's very prominent. You know, it's not carbon neutral, but it's in terms of carbon, it's environmentally friendly, especially with Class 99s and other sort of bi-modes and electric traction coming on stream. So I think the government do generally support freight, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't, at the moment, I don't sort of foresee it having far-reaching effects, but who knows? Who knows? Right, just gone across Tide Mills level crossing. You can just about see Bishopstone up in the distance. The uphill gradient is going to help us to slow down a little bit. Bishopstone Station, quite interesting. It was modelled on, I want to say, Rayner's Lane underground station, and it actually has a machine gun nest built into it. 15 warning there, that is for coming into the platform at Seaford. Yeah, should have done the 313 before the 377 because the brakes on this are really dreadful. Full service braking everywhere, they just really are bad. Okay, offside door release, so good practice is to get up out the seat and use the door controls on the opposite side. Which we can't do. Okay, that doesn't work. I think we need the guard's key switch in to do that, but don't worry about it then. What do you think of the new livery for GBR? I want to see it in the flesh before I pass judgment on it. Womble 13. Train spotting hub. God, I can't imagine life with just GBR livery trains. The colour that was once on the railways will be gone. You say that, train spotting hub. I don't think we'll just see a GBR livery. I think we'll see individual branding. If we were going to bring back retro liveries, like, I don't know, Network South East, the Jaffa Cake livery, Intercity Swallow, regional railways, what liveries would you guys like to see back on the railway? If we were going to say, right, we're going to BR Blue, what would you like to see back, and what traction would you like to see it on? Can you see any current freight see any current freight operators being merged into GBR. I think it's really unlikely, Sussex Rail Enthusiast. Most freight companies are wholly owned private enterprises. So there's no kind of government subsidy or anything. So not like the passenger companies where everything's subsidised. And they are basically, you know, the trains are from the leasing companies, the pathways are owned by the government, etc., etc. Whereas with freight, most of the terminals are leased or owned by the freight companies. A lot of the wagons and rolling stock are owned by the freight companies. So yeah, I don't think that there's really any mechanism for them to take it in-house, if that makes sense. Even though recent dynamic lines delivery is awesome. Intercity Swallow on the 800s, Womble 13. I think an altered sectorisation era bunch of liveries would be smart. NSE and Swallow especially updated to work on modern shapes. Intercity Swallow, lots of people here are going for Intercity Swallow. Regional Railways is retro but gorgeous. Would love to see that on all local services. Right, we need to get some serious braking here because there's a 15 coming up. And then we end up on the buffer stops. And there's our 15, a little bit more brake. A lot more brake. Throwing the passengers around all over the place. And we're going to be 10 for the ramps as we arrive at Seaford. Incidentally, Seaford only has one platform. It used to have two. But the remaining platform is actually platform 2. So all trains at Seaford depart from the only platform at Seaford, which is platform 2. Because there's the right way, the wrong way, and the railway. As you can see, you've got number 2 on the left-hand side there. So there was originally a plan to continue the line from Seaford to Eastbourne, but there's this thing in the way called the South Downs. So that never happened. And full service brake application, DRA on, into neutral, doors on the left-hand side. We'll set our tail lights. Oh, DRA isolation, there we go. I didn't see that on the desk there. How could I miss that? Tail lights on. And then we'll see what the HUD wants us to do to get it wrapped up. Right, whilst we're waiting for that...
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Lewes on the railway. 8 is great. 7 is heaven. Approaching the buffer stops. Absolutely. Yeah, Sussex Rail Enthusiast. I think DRS do have some... Now you mention it, yeah, do have some sort of level of government involvement. Not sure exactly how much. Silver medal. That's terrible. Stop accuracy was pretty good. I mean, Seaford 0.414 yards. I'm good at judging that 6 foot from the buffer stops. Where did we fall down then? I mean, speeding, very slight speeding. Seems a little bit hard. Just telling them to be quiet behind me. I don't know, kids, eh? Right, okay. Locomotive Livery Location, Train Spotting Hub. You're the third number in, my friend, with 14.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
We're doing well today with repeating these numbers. We've had that one. So we'll go Jack, you're 14 as well. We've done that. So we're going to go the Lara, number 7. We can do that one. What is that, guys? Where is that? This kind of generic station. We are going to do one more very quick run before we wrap it up today. What is that? Where is that? Let me know. Doobie-doobie-doo. Loading, loading, loading. How has, incidentally guys, how has the stream quality been? Has it been laggy at all for anyone? Has the picture quality been okay? I played around with a few of the settings because I was having numerous issues, which I think I fixed most of them now. But yeah, it'd be interesting just to get your feedback on whether it's looking and sounding okay. Should be coming through 60 FPS full HD still, but just kind of had to to tone down a couple of bits. Right, so East Coastway, timetable 313. And we're going to jump into the DB66. And these are only relatively short runs. So Newhaven Aggregates Terminal to Acton Yard. You can only go as far as Lewes. Can we get out of Newhaven Marine? Yeah, these are all coming out of the Newhaven Town Terminal. Is there anything that comes out of Newhaven Marine Terminal? Maybe on the 66 one. No, they're all Newhaven Aggregates Terminal. Okay, well we'll just pick one at random. Newhaven Aggregates Terminal to Acton Yard. There we go. Loaded freight train. Train spotting quality's been great. Excellent. That's good to hear. The train spotting hub GBRF Inspiration train at Ashford International. Could be. Jack, looks like Victoria, but surely there's not freight at a buffer stop station unless it's RHTT. GJ, quality seems good. Excellent. Richard moaning about the 66 every time, which is valid. Oh no, the 66 is just not great. We need a new 66 ingot. I know we've had so many variations of the 66. It is not good though. It really is not good. But I won't mention it, I promise. Frustratingly, the TPWS, AWS isolations are in the other cab. So when you exit the train, you should have your full PPE, you should have your hard hat and your gloves. You should maintain 3 points of contact when boarding and alighting. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, isn't it? DSD, normal, AWS, TPWS. There we go. This is the number one end cab. What are we hauling on the back anyway? Looks like we've got J&A wagons. Yeah, J&A. Radio. Key in. Yard lights, because we are in the yard at the moment. We'll change them over to day running once we get out on the main line. Brake timings should be in pass. No, these wagons are in pass timings. Brake cutout. Brakes are cut in. Okay, excellent. Right. Data meters. We'll leave that up. That's the good screen to drive from. Can we put our pin number in? No, we've just got train length. We won't worry about that because I don't know how long we are. Let's probably 950 feet is a pretty good guess, I would say. We'll go with that. Right, keys in. Let's charge the brake pipe up. Straight air brake should be full on at this point. Charge the brake pipe up. Why would the RHTT be at Victoria? It's indoors. We do take RHTTs into Victoria. So that is a thing that could happen. Instrument lights on. Airflow meters come back. Reverser into forward. Straight air off. Couple of notches of throttle and hopefully... Oh, there was a nice snatch there. That was good physics. I was not expecting that. And 5 miles an hour leaving the terminal. That says 15. That is absolutely nonsense. It is 5 miles an hour out of here. John T. Ward, notice the shape of the cab door there based on class 52. Yeah, you've got a flashy tail lamp on the back as well, that's good. Yeah, so this structure here, that doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if it ever did exist, but yeah, it's certainly not there now. I know that for a fact because I was there this morning. I was there, but the train wasn't.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Okay, ground position light signal is showing 2 white lights. The sounds are terrible, that clickety-clack. And what's going on with the gauges there? They're all... I'm not going to moan about the 66 too much, I promise. We've only got it for 10 minutes and it's the end of the stream, but I'm not going to moan too much. Okay, so we are going on to the main line, so we change our lights to daytime. Loco, miles per hour, 7. So, these wagons in real life, as soon as you touch the brakes, they are really sharp. Yeah, not simulated very well. In real life, that would lose me about 4 or 5 miles an hour, just that little splash of brake, because they are very good brakes on these wagons. Okay, we are not going to set our train length indicator. There's a very good reason for that. So we departed the terminal on a ground position light signal, which means our next signal could be at danger. So until we sight our next signal, which I can just about see there, it is green. But if we were to set the train length indicator coming out of there, there's a danger that the train length indicator beeps at us and we take power. That's almost like a subconscious cue to start going. So the ruling is we don't use the train length indicator unless we're running under clear signals. So it's just going to be pure guesswork. We can just about see the back of the train clearing there. And now we're going to get it going. Always want to be notching up one at a time and running down one at a time. So with the 66, you never want to whack the power controller straight forward or straight back. You always want to click, 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 click. Nice and gradual. Try not to run the amps sort of between 6 and 7's okay. 7, 8, you're really starting to push it then. Right, notch 8, we've got a green. We need to do our running brake test. So we typically tend to do the running brake test from about 30 miles an hour. And we want to see a reduction of 10 miles an hour. We can do it faster. Would you lose train length indicator going into a loop? Jack, only if you're sort of trying to work out when the back of your train's clear of a set of points or something like that, you could, yeah. But if you're approaching a red signal, then no, you wouldn't. Typically, you wouldn't use it. You're only ever going to use it on clean signals. Okay, Locomotive Livery Location, train spotting hub. Third one, my friend, with number 17.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Gonna give you... We are picking these ones that we've already done, aren't we? John 2 Ward, we'll go with you, my friend, then. Number 3. Oh, interesting. What is that? Where is that? Sussex Round enthusiast, do drivers use notch 8 in real life? Yeah, absolutely, you have to. Yeah. Jack, I have a particularly big loop and always wondered how freight knew they were fully in the loop. If it's a signalled loop, Jack, you're just going to go until you reach the red, surely. I don't know if that's a signalled loop or whether that's like going into a terminal. Jack, not Victoria. GJ's gone Reading. Okay, we're going to shut back our power one notch at a time. And then once we get back to notch 1, we're just going to want to make sure those amps would be right down between 1 and 0 in reality now. Now with the power shut off, the amps are still at 1. That's not right, that should be at 0. With the power shut off, we want to do what's called a roll test, which just means we're going to allow the train to roll for a couple of seconds. And it's just to give us an opportunity to fill the train. So we're just making sure that there's no brakes left on at the back, it's not dragging, that it just feels like it's rolling freely. Then what we want to do, we're doing about 44, 43. I'm going to put the brakes into the initial position, which should be 4.6 bar. And I want to observe that speed come down by 10 miles an hour. So once we get down to about 34. Not going to release it at 34 though. I'm going to release it at about 36, 37. So release that now. Time it takes the brakes to fully recharge and fully release. Oh, this is so inaccurate. It's absolutely terrible. The brakes are reacting instantly. That's not how freight works. Those brakes are releasing far too quickly. Okay, that's our running brake test. Right, we are approaching South East, so we do also have to follow something called the 2/3 rule, which is something that applies to southern region trains, which means we're permitted to do 2/3 of the maximum line speed over a particular section of route. So maximum line speed between Seaford and Southern Junction is 70. 2/3 of that is 45-ish. So that's what our maximum speed on this section of route. We will have to slow down as well for Glyme Reach Viaduct, which we'll be coming up to in a minute. That'll be a 15 miles an hour restriction for us. What banking range would typically be used for Class 6 J&A train on a braking range? Lewes, on the railway, J&As brake exceptionally well. They're nearly as good as passenger brakes, J&As. Train swaying hub's gone X, DRS, GBRS 66 at Peterborough. Danny Price 28, why did the 66 lose all the amps at 34 mile an hour with a spike in RPM? So it does something called a field transition. So it's basically, look at it as changing gear. So it does something called a field diver or a field shunt. It's like a gear change effectively. And it'll come up on the screen, temporary load reduction, no crew action required. But yeah, 36 mile an hour, that typically occurs. We've got to slow down for this 15, but I just want to see if the train sim version is going to do it. No, it doesn't look like it does. Okay, Glyme Reach Viaduct is just after the signal there, so we should probably start getting some braking. That's quite heavy braking for a 66. And again, on freight, because the way the brakes work, when you release them, they don't release instantly. It's a bit like driving a vac brake train. There is quite a delay in releasing the brakes. So the way that I'm kind of releasing that, and then it's releasing instantly, I mean, I would expect to lose another 5-6 miles an hour. Sort of release the brake there, and instantly they're releasing, which is not very accurate at all. The freight driving experience is terrible. Right, we can use our train length indicator here. And again, so first one to arm it, second one to activate it. There is a 15 mile an hour restriction for freight trains across Glyme Reach Viaduct, which is what we've slowed down for. Set the train length indicator so we know when the back of the train is clear. This is also a good place for doing what we call a look back. So on freight trains you do regular look backs wherever practical, just to make sure that everything is following and there's no smokes and spark coming out the wagons. You've got no brakes dragging on the back, which is always going to be tea and biscuits from the manager. Right, I have allowed that to accelerate a little bit, but there we go. Right, it does it on some other 66s. Yeah, it might just be that it didn't do it that time. Maybe the speed was already too high. We'll see if it does it now. Lewis on the railway, have you ever had a dragging brake on a 66 or in the wagons or both? It's normally going to be on the wagons if you do get one. I've not personally had a dragging brake on a 66. I've had a couple on 69s, two on a 73. It's not something that's mega common. I've certainly dealt with quite a few of them. It's not mega common, but it's potentially can be potentially quite consequential. Is that transitioning there, or is that slipping? That was possibly the field transition there that we just saw, or it might have been wheel slip. What's better, Train Sim World or Train Sim Classic? Oh, that's contentious. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. John T. Wood, I've seen Freight Rambler do frequent looks backs, and now he uses a head cam. Is he still got videos online, John? Because I saw a lot of his videos, and then they were all removed. But they were sort of, a lot of them were in my neck of the woods. They were quite genuinely quite useful for route learning. Dragon brakes were frequent with the old KEA wagons. Dragon brakes is definitely not a good thing. GJ, what is field transition? So effectively what happens, you're quite technically minded, GJ, so I'm probably going to make a right hash of explaining this, but I will try my best. So in an electric motor, you've got copper windings around the motor which help to power the motor. When the motor gets up to a certain speed, you get something called EMF, electromagnetic force, and you can get back EMF. So basically the EMF creates a lot of resistance in the motor, so you can't turn the motor any faster because you've got so much resistance. So when you do a field transition or a field shunt, effectively what you're doing is you're removing some of those windings out of the motor, which lowers the resistance in the motor, which enables you to go faster. Hopefully that sort of makes sense. It's like changing gear. Train Spotting Hub, what's your favourite train to drive in real life? Probably a Class 57. I think 57s are really nice machines to drive. I had one between Chesterfield and Derby doing like 90 odd miles an hour. Absolutely beautiful. As we come around the corner into Lewes, we should be doing 20. We're going a little bit too fast. Just rub the brakes. Only 61 cab rides for Freight Rambler. Okay, some in several parts, so lots of videos. That's a good question. The Laura, how much route learning is with an instructor? How much is figured out through videos, etc.? Depends on the route, depends on the individual. Some routes are simple. You can kind of just go out of a cab pass on a passenger train or watch videos. Some routes you need to drive over them. People learn in different ways through different methods. You kind of try and shake it up as much as you can. Okay, we are stopping here at Lewes for a crew change. So we're going to play our last round of Locomotive Location Livery.
Post your numbers now for Locomotive Livery Location.
Get those numbers in. Driving it like a unit now, look. Full service braking, that was terrible. Oh dear, oh dear. Hey, we got a gold medal. I should jolly well hope so. I've done that particular journey in real life numerous times. Lewes on the road, eventually we'll drive locos with a DMI screen. Yeah, you're quite right. Okay, on the numbers. GJ, you were first. Bluegrass, you were second. Pig and Bob, you're the third one again. Oh, I'm sure you got this rigged with number 15. This will be your...
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
Where are we going? Number 15. Here we go. What is that? Where is that? I'll give you a few minutes and we will do a reveal. Fabio Sarts, the EMF only applies to DC motors. Am I right? I believe you are right. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but yeah, I think you are right, because AC motors use something called chopper control, which kind of rapidly turns the motors on and off in order to control the speed. So I believe, yeah, I could be wrong, but yeah, my technical knowledge doesn't go that deep. I can drive them and prep them, but sort of as to how they work is a little bit of a mystery. GJ says, Pig and Bob, how are you not a lottery winner? Go on, get your guesses, and we'll wrap it up. There's a cat. I'm trying to point there. Which one's that, Danny? That's Simba. Simba. Go on, guys. Any guesses? I'll give you 10 more seconds, and then we'll do a reveal, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. And if someone wants to jump onto the wiki and see what the 6th UK route released for Train Sim World was, that would be great as well, because I've not done my homework today and I've got absolutely no idea what we're going to be doing in the next stream. So I'll tell you what, I could have a little look. Train spotting hubs on GBRF 66 light locomotive at Peterborough. The kitty has been heard before. GJ's gone 66 at Reading. Tracy World release history. There we go. Right, what have we got coming up? Train Simba. Train Simba! Simba's only just started becoming, I'd say, affectionate. Rightio, let's do a reveal.
Let's play Locomotive Livery Location.
So, I thought this was quite an easy one today. So this is another one that we are reusing. We have a collection of over 120 games, 120 rounds of this that we played. So we are reusing some of them now. I think one person got this right. Let's press the button.
It's time to reveal today's Locomotive Livery Location.
There we go. Platform 11 at London Bridge. Class 66 GBRF. I would have accepted DRS because it's blue. Picture from me. Yeah, not a place you often see at 66. Granted, at London Bridge. But it does happen occasionally. There we go. Did you get it? I think blue glass was the first one, and I think the only one to get that. So well done everybody for that. Fantastic. Right. If you are still here, you must have enjoyed yourself, so please do hit that like button, consider subscribing, really does help out with the YouTube algorithms. Just having a little look through, we have got the joys of the Bakerloo line, which was released on the 20th of August 2020, and the Isle of Wight original. Don't know if I've got the original, I think I've only got the updated version. And then we're getting onto the realms of Southeastern High Speed after that, and we're into kind of Train Sim World 4 territory. Yeah, so next one is going to be the Bakerloo line, which we've done quite recently, but I look forward to getting back on it. It's always a challenging drive. I don't do very well on it, generally speaking. So, yeah, looking forward to doing that one. That will probably be Saturday or Sunday, but do watch. I will try and get it advertised a little bit in advance. Pick up Bakerloo line is the next route. I think, yeah, absolutely is. There we go. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. That would be fantastic. If you want to send me any pictures for Locomotive Livery Location, you're welcome to do so via the Discord link, which you'll find in the description below, or you can send them to me via social media channels, which are on the screen for you right now. Shall we see if this end screen is going to work? Let's press the button. I think the music's working. That's good news, right? Anyway, guys, thank you very, very much for watching, and see you again very soon. Bye for now.